filter in. I see some familiar names here, so that's exciting. Welcome everyone. This is Beth Bronder from ACCE, and today we're going to be talking about our return of the ACCE fam trip 2021, our trip to Egypt in November. As always, we'll be doing this with our partners at Aventura World. And as always, we have the charming Ian Scott here to talk to us about that program and also give us some details, answer any questions that you might have. So Ian is going to go through his presentation. We will, two things, we will be taking questions. So as we go, if you have a question, go ahead and post it in the chat. And I will make sure to elevate those to Ian during the Q&A. And then the second thing is we will be doing a recording of this, and possibly if there's somebody in your group that wasn't able to make it, we could possibly make this available to share. So again, questions in the chat, recording underway. And with that, I am going to turn things over to Ian Scott, the president of Aventura World. Ian?
Thank you, Beth. For having me here. Ellie, thank you for arranging this. I truly appreciate it, and it's great to be presenting and in actual fact presenting such a wonderful destination such as Egypt. Egypt's been one of our top destinations for the last 4 years, and it never ever fails to perform. This is a cradle of civilization. You will get to see wonders of the world, a warm and inviting, friendly people. And on this particular program, which is sponsored by the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism, you'll get to understand a little bit about the government, a little bit about business, as we will be having business connections and governmental connections. So it's an interesting program. The last time we ran an Egyptian fan, we met with the Prime Minister of Egypt. We met with AmJam, the American Chamber of Commerce. We met with the Minister of Tourism, Commerce, and we just happened to bump in for dinner with a couple of ambassadors too. So it was a fun event, as well as experiencing and learning about such a wonderful destination. It's departing out on November the 27th through to December the 5th. All our trips in a familiarization format go out during this period. It gives you an opportunity to have your Thanksgiving and then head out straight afterwards and join fellow chamber executives. This is for chamber executives. This isn't a passenger trip, but it's for chamber executives to understand the destination and learn about what it has to offer. Now, without further ado, let's head out and just experience the destination. But again, some people might not know who we are. So before we do, let's just chat a little bit about who Aventura World is. We've been in business since 1972, and we're a member of Saqqara International Travel Group with thousands of employees worldwide. Saqqara has riverboats, hotels, travel-related entities, restaurants, and such things as that throughout the world, and they are located in Cairo. One of the vessels that we'll be on is a Saqqara vessel. But through Saqqara, we have offices throughout the world on both sides of the United States, as well as Paris, Rome, London, Delhi, and of course in Cairo. We're dedicated to bringing forth the treasures of the world to you at whenever humanly possible at a relaxed pace. This particular program is 4 nights on a riverboat, 3 nights on the land in Cairo. So we're trying to bring forth as relaxed a pace as possible. But we're dedicated to bringing forth the treasures of the world. We've got about a 30-minute webinar today. We could still be speaking about the treasures of Egypt tomorrow. So I do have to abbreviate my presentation today. But the Great Pyramid, the Sphinx, the Nile, Tutankhamun's tomb, the Great Museum, oh, it's just, there's just so many of them there. And the best way I would say, come along and then you'll understand what I mean. As a wholesaler of travel, we bring forth tremendous quality without affecting the price. This specific program, we are the incoming agent. So you'll get a tremendous program at a tremendous price, not found anywhere else. We're a company of change. We are. Everybody's changed in the last year, and we are proud of the changes and the advancements that we've made. Lastly, we class ourselves as the leader in value-priced first-class programs in the United States. That's who we are. Here is the program. It is November the 27th again through to December the 5th. Great time to be heading in here. As you can see, it's a desert-like climate. I can lay money on the fact that we won't see any rain whilst we're there. It should be sunny blue skies. A little bit cooler in the evenings in Cairo, heading down to the riverboat on the Nile Delta. 60s in the day, 70s in the day, low 60s in the evenings, maybe high 50s, but a great traveling period. But what this is going to bring is terrific folklore and culture, far different than what you've had and what you have at home. Traditions, we've got belly dancing. We've got history spanning decades. If Home Depot or Lowe's could figure out how to make paint like the pharaohs did, we would only have to paint our house once a century. Original paintwork inside the Valley of the Kings. It's a spectacular, beautiful destination. Historical, world-renowned sites, but importantly, a warm and inviting, friendly people. I guarantee when you get out to Egypt, at least once, up twice, 3, 4, maybe 5 times, somebody's going to come up to you and say, where are you from? You're going to tell them, and they're going to turn around with a big beam on their face. Thank you for coming, they'll say. Please welcome your friends and family to come back with you. That's the conversation you'll hear time in, time out. Day one, we'll be meeting in JFK, and I had the pleasure of going on this trip with you. So it's a fabulous event. We'll meet at JFK, and we'll be jumping on Egypt Airs, the flagship carrier of Egypt, non-stop from JFK into Cairo. And welcome to Egypt. We'll be arriving round about lunchtime the following day. And this is our itinerary into Cairo right here. We've got a 3-night stay, flying down to Aswan, where we'll be cruising up the Nile to Luxor, with fabulous things along the way to see. As soon as we're met in Cairo International Airport, inside the secure area of the airport, you'll find our staff. We can always see them. They have these luminous orange lanyards and luminous orange ties. They belong to our Saqqara International staff. They'll guide us through customs and immigration and onto our motor coach, and welcome to the cosmopolitan city of Cairo. You'll see the Nile running through it. It's a busy, busy African city. Our home for our stay inside Cairo on the land section is the JW Marriott, one of the Saqqara International properties. It is managed by JW Marriott. It's a 5-star luxury hotel. Anybody's interested in playing golf, the golf course of Cairo is right here. But it has everything that you're going to need for your 3-night stay. Large rooms, balconies, satellite TV, direct dial telephone, air conditioning, heat, great food, restaurants, pool areas. And again, as I said, the golf course. It's positioned just outside in the tranquility of an outside area of Cairo. So we're not right in the hubbub of Cairo itself, but our touring will be taking us into Cairo. First night, relax, take it easy, infiltrate into the Egyptian way of life and get to know your fellow travelers. The next day, day 3, we'll find ourselves jumping on an aircraft and heading down to Aswan. Now, this program is slightly different than a passenger offering because it's slightly shorter. So this wouldn't normally be the regular flow. But on day 3, we're going to jump on our aircraft and head down to Aswan. And this is the routing we're going to be taking, heading down the belt of the Nile. On a clear day, we will see the lush green vegetation that the Nile makes fertile. As we're coming into Aswan, we will see the greenery and the desert all around. Upon arrival with our Egyptologist, we will then have the tour of Aswan Dam. The Aswan Dam is what makes the Nile navigable in today's day and age. It doesn't go into flood or drought, and it produces a considerable amount of electricity for Egypt and the surrounding countries. We'll also see the Egyptian obelisk. The Egyptian obelisk is probably one of the most fascinating things on the itinerary because it wasn't finished and it was left. But we can see how stonemasons carved the obelisks and rocks of stone, for example, to make the pyramids. This one, thank goodness for us, as they got all the way through the endeavor and they were just going underneath to cut away the underneath section of the rock, it cracked in numerous places, hence useless. They left it in here, so in the ground, so we can see how they made the obelisks. If it was complete and if it was standing, it would be the largest obelisk in the world at the moment. Upon arrival after that, we'll be heading to the Mojito. The Mojito is a 4-star US ship. Egyptians call them 5-star. I'm very frank and forthright. The JW Marriott is a 5-star US quality. The vessels in Egypt are always 4-star first class. Even though they're listed as 5-star Egyptian, they're clean, comfortable, large windows, twin double-bedded rooms, refrigerators, and everything you're going to need for your 4-night sailing on this adventure you've got here. And here we are. We'll have lunch on board and take it nice and easy. And then here we are on board. The shop areas, lots of lovely marble, exotic woods, the seating area and the bar area. Here we are in the rooms themselves. You've got satellite TV, direct dial telephones. You've got air conditioning, heat, large window that slides open, private bathrooms with hair dryers, ladies, just in case. I can't see who's on this, but it's an important conversation. Yes, there are hair dryers on the vessel itself. Most of the meals on the vessel itself are in a buffet scenario, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but there's plenty of food. It's all wholesome, salads, fresh breads, even desserts for breakfast. The Egyptians have a sweet tooth. Hot and cold cuisine for your time on the vessel itself. Here we are on the lounging deck in the pool and such. Later on that day, we'll be going to the Temple of Philac. The Temple of Philac is the only site on the itinerary that's not in its original place. When the Aswan Dam was built, Lake Nasur was formed. This happened to be on the bed of Lake Nasur. So as we tour the Temple of Philac, you will see flood marks along the way. Each stone was relocated from the bed of Lake Nasur into its current location, and you can see how high it went sometimes with flood. This is our first experience of hieroglyphics, and with our Egyptologists, not tour guides. These are Egyptologists. They have forgotten more about Egypt in the past, today, and present than we will ever know. Part of our cultural discovery series here in Aswan, we'll be learning about hand-blown glass and essential oils. We'll come back to the vessel, dinner on board. Day 4 will find us after breakfast. We'll be cruising up from Aswan to Abu. Fabulous Nile shots, maybe time to head into the pool, watch the world go by from the vessel itself, and again, in the afternoon we'll be at Abu. Abu was an ancient commerce settlement, and it's the home of the Temple of the Crocodile. and it's our first site. We'll also learn about how the pharaohs used to levy taxes with floodwater inside this measurement tool and well. It was also a breeding sanctuary for crocodiles in here. Crocodiles no longer exist in the Nile, in the Egyptian Nile. Hippopotamuses no longer exist, but this was a crocodile breeding place. Fun is all part of all our trips, and we'll be having a Galabera party whilst here. We encourage you along the way on the cruise to shop for traditional Egyptian attire. Gents, it's your time to be Lawrence of Arabia for the day. Ladies, your turn to be Cleopatra. And it's a fun night that we have. We'll continue further north to Edfu. Edfu is my favorite destination anywhere on the Nile itself. It is a huge structure. The doors, you can just see the size of the lady behind the gentleman in the middle with the hat. The main doorways, which the doors are no longer, the wooden doors are no longer there. You can see the size of the entire door. We'll jump off of our boat. We'll have horses and carts that will take us to the temple of Horus, the falcon god. We'll head into and we'll learn about the falcon god. We'll head into the Ark area. This is an area where just the high priest and the pharaohs would be allowed. But again, this gives you an opportunity to be Indiana Jones or Laura Croft for the day. The lighting system still works in this area as it did when it was built. It's amazing. We'll come back to the boat and continue northbound, heading through the Esna locks, working locks, continuing on to Luxor. Luxor, the town, has been built around the famous site. Here we are coming into the port of Luxor, which is right on the riverbank. Upon arrival, usually in mid-afternoon, we'll start our tour of Luxor. We'll go through the main gates of Ramesses on both sides. You'll see the Egyptian obelisk. You might have been to Paris. You've seen its sister in the main square in Paris. We'll learn about Ramesses II and the pharaohs. Sunset will become upon us, and we'll see the site in a whole different light. Come back to the vessel some free times. Maybe we could go and do some shopping in the bazaar. And then onwards, the day 6 will be upon us when we go into the Valley of the Kings and the Valley of the Queens. And here we are, the Valley of the Queens, and the famous temple that's been cut right into the rock face itself. I'm sat at a lovely little cafe here. I've been here numerous times. I love their coffee here. Grab a cake and a coffee and just drink the environment and the sights in as we see everything that the site has to offer. Cultural Discovery Series, we'll be learning about alabaster carving, the way that they did it during the pharaoh's times, and learning a little bit about stone masonry. After that, we'll be continuing on to the Valley of the Kings, and going through the Colossus of Menon into the Valley of the Kings. Take a quick look around at all these little square dots, all tombs around the Valley of the Kings and the Queens right here. We're now going into a privileged location that not most Egyptians didn't know about. Only the rich and aristocracy and the pharaohs knew of this area, as this is where most of them were buried. Here we can see about the tombs underneath the ground. We'll be going into at least 3 tombs on this particular event. We'll be learning about when Tutankhamun was found in 1922. Excavations are still going on today, and we'll see probably some excavations happening. And then we'll be going into 3 tombs here. I don't need to be, there's no claustrophobic element here. Large open spaces. You'll learn of the curse of the mummy. Just for that information, it's well worth going on this trip. Again, this is original paperwork that we see. We don't go into the Tutankhamun tomb, but we can do. It's not included, but we can do as an individual event whilst here. And then you'll learn about Howard Carter. You'll see the room and the tomb where all the artifacts were found. We'll come back to the boat for lunch and then continue to a local school, learn about the Egyptian education system, meet students before continuing on to the Temple of Karnak. Karnak is connected to Luxor by the road of the Sphinx. And again, with our Egyptologists, we'll be learning of Karnak, the Temple of the Columns. You may have seen this in all the mummy films. The mummy films were filmed in Los Angeles. You're actually seeing the original now. Before we know it, on our last stay on the trip itself on the boat, day 7 will be upon us. And sometime on day 7, we'll be flying back to Cairo. Upon arrival into Cairo, we'll have our city tour of Old Cairo. We'll see the Citadel of Saladin, and we will have our meeting. Depends on the calendar of the individuals, but here we are inside the parliament with an audience with the Prime Minister, the Minister of Tourism, right here on our trip in 2015. The government connections are assigned a little bit closer in, and business connections are assigned a little bit closer in when calendars are firmed up a little bit more. But it's a fabulous event. Day 8, we'll come back to the hotel, the JW Marriott. Day 8, rest up. Day 8, we'll have the pyramids. Let me go back again. We'll be learning about the Great Pyramids. We'll get the opportunity to touch them, walk a couple of the steps. But for those people interested, it's not included, but you can go inside the Great Pyramid itself. I highly recommend it. Reason we don't include it is they were designed only to go in, not to go out. So there's some tight spaces in there, but it's a once in a lifetime experience. And it's a great photo opportunity whilst there. And you have the opportunity whilst here to ride a camel around close to the pyramids. We'll see the Sphinx and the embalming site. Time to take your photograph taken there too. Continuing on, we'll go to either the Museum of Egyptology or the brand new Grand Museum if it's open. We'll see mummies, floors of mummies, of artifacts. We'll see King Tutankhamun's treasures that were pulled out of the site and then come back to the hotel that night. This is our last night on the trip itself. Relax at the hotel, by the pool, have a drink. Day 9 will be upon us, and we'll be flying back to the United States on Egypt Air, arriving back to JFK around about 3 o'clock in the afternoon with spectacular memories of a friendly nation, camaraderie, an adventure through travel, seeing world famous sites, being Indiana Jones or Laura Croft for the day and experiencing a unique culture and a history. The included features are here. I'm not going to go through them. It's on the brochure, but basically it's all your accommodations, boats, and deluxe hotels. You've got 18 meals, daily breakfasts, 6 lunches and 5 dinners, all your touring, somebody to look after you. The price of this program, it's a highly incentivized trip by the Egyptian government. It's $9.99 per person, double occupancy for the chamber executive. A spouse or guest or travel companion with that executive, it's $1,099. Okay. Single supplement for an executive is $699. Now, importantly, this is sponsored by the Egyptian government, and it's designed for you to see the destination, to experience the destination, and the Egyptian government would like you to bring back individuals and your chamber trips to Egypt. So it's designed for CEOs or people who have decision-making format on the trip itself to speak on behalf of the chamber. The activity level is a 4. So it means there's walking, there's steps, there's some standing on and off of buses, on and off of boats. Visas, easy. $25 upon arrival, we'll get a visa. 6 months left on your passport, 2 blank pages. How do we sign up? I'm not going to go through it because we don't have it in a 30-minute destination, but your chamber executives, I know you'll be able to handle the registration form kind of easy. But it's right there and it's easily done. What I am going to go through is the insurance. I strongly encourage you to take out the insurance, either standard insurance, which is cancel for a reason, which is medical, and touch wood. Let's all touch wood right now. Death, we're not going to need it. But it covers lost luggage, flight delays, misconnections, all that good stuff. But you can also take out trip cancel for any reason for slightly more, and it will show you it on the brochure right here. Paper registrations, there's information on the brochure itself on reservations, getting those into us. And booking engine, you would have to sign up as a new user and then get your registration in through the booking engine process. The trip, I don't want to try and rush you on this, but right now we're about 60% full. We've had a lot of response from this because of the amount of people wanting to travel, because basically people haven't been traveling for nearly a year and a half. So we've got such a big demand right now. So if you do wish to go on it, I strongly encourage, when you're ready to go, please sign up, because before we know it, the trip will be sold up. So to avoid disappointment, please do sign up sooner than later. So Beth, do we have any questions?
We do have some questions. I'm going to kick things off with my question, though, first. Other than the business meetings in Parliament, can you tell us a little bit about how this trip differs from one that you would take guests in from your community? You said it was a little bit shorter, but just give us an idea of what the differences would be.
Just a little bit shorter, just a little bit shorter. There's a couple of things that we wouldn't do. We might have the opportunity to do, but there's a couple of things that on a cultural side that we won't do it, but virtually other than that, it's the same thing.
Okay, great. So we have a question about the time of day we leave from Newark. And this is obviously in New York, and I don't want to speak, but I'm guessing it's probably late afternoon or evening.
Based on current schedules, the flight leaving JFK will be at 6:30 p.m. If I may make a recommendation, I always on these trips, whether we're going to Peru, Italy, Egypt, wherever, I come in the night before. I go to New York City and I have a lovely dinner in New York City, and I come to the airport the next day. So I come in one day beforehand. I know I'm there. If you're close by, then you might not need to do that, but I always like to do that and make an event of New York too. On the return, we will be landing somewhere round about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So even West Coasters, if we've got any West Coasters on this call, any Midwesters, you should still have the ability to book a departing flight said same day. But we can talk more about that in a post-departure and when we do gain an application from them.
Okay, we have a couple questions about COVID-related issues. Amy Sherman wants to know, we are vaccinated, but would insurance cover if Egypt has any travel or lockdown issues due to COVID?
We're all vaccinated. Right now, Egypt is open. The insurance in a cancel for any reason would, yes, because it's cancel for any reason. The stipulation of cancel for any reason is you must cancel 48 hours before you go, and you must sign up for the cancel for any reason policy with your initial payment. So yes, the answer is.
Okay, Galena Chadwick would like to know, what are the COVID requirements upon arrival in Egypt?
Galena, it is, the COVID requirements throughout the world are in flux. They are getting better daily. Currently, not to say we'll be into this right now. I strongly recommend that if you are vaccinated, if you're not vaccinated, get vaccinated, you'll have less hoops to jump through. But right now, you are required to have a negative test no later than 72 hours before you depart. That's the regulation.
Okay, Susanna Moore Heeman wants to know, do we have to fly back to JFK on the trip, or can we diverge in Cairo and continue on personal travel?
That's a question we'll take on a one-on-one basis, and we'll see what that entails. This is a trip sponsored by the Egyptian government. Egypt Air is an Egyptian government carrier, so there may or may not be flexibility on that, but nothing ventured, nothing gained. Would be open to that conversation.
Okay, Karen Reardon would like to know, do we need to pack business attire for the business events in Cairo?
Hello, Karen, nice to hear from you. I would recommend business casual. So I apologize. So business semi-casual. I personally did have a suit and a tie for the event. If your luggage allows it, not that you would wear a suit and a tie, Karen, but a nice chamber outfit would be good. You'll need it only for that. And as we know the calendar, as we get closer in, we'll be able to advise you on what you need. We will have another one of these events for people that are on the FAM that's going to tell you what's happening, what you'll need to do. So that's going to be about 20 days before we go.
Ian, a question that I have is, what is the ideal number of chamber executives for a trip like this? Is there, you said there's a cutoff, so just give us a sense of how large the group would be.
Yeah, I mean, historically, it's 20 to 25 people that goes on these trips.
Very good, that's a nice size. Any other questions out there? I think we've covered just about everything in the chat. Give it a few more seconds here to see if anybody has any other questions. Why don't you begin telling us next steps?
Next steps is if you're interested in going on this program, please send in your application. As soon as we receive it, we will then give you a call. We'll talk to you about the program, and then go from there. So that's the next step. So it is very, very important that you do sign up sooner than later. When you do bring in your application, if you look at the terms and conditions, you are not charged anything at that particular time. So if you think you want to go, do get your registration in, then we'll talk and we'll figure out if you really want to go or not. And then we'll confirm you after that particular conversation. So all the way up to 70 days before you go, it's a full refund. You got nothing to lose. So you want to go? If you're sick and tired of watching Netflix, Amazon Prime, if the garden's so pristine, you need a bit of adventure in your life, there you go. Come on, get your registration in, come along with us.
Terrific. And I assume that you will reach out to everybody on this call with your contact information in case there are any questions after today.
There's one other just came in. I just saw it go. 760-2120. In fact, I'll put it out here now to everybody. I'll put my cell phone there.
Ian, that last question was, is this a mail registration or online?
Both.
Okay,
it could be either or.
So fill in the registration form and email it to you. That's the best way to go.
Yes, if you don't have a copy of the registration, we'll have it to everybody sent out to you after this event. So as soon as because I know there's some people here that we don't have on the RSVP. So I've just put my cell phone in there. So as soon as we get a full list of everybody that's on there, we'll have the invite to you, get that back as soon as possible, and we'll go from there. So either paper or the registration form shows you how to do, or tells you how to do it online. Okay,
terrific. I think that's about all the questions that we have. Again, I want to thank Ian for spending the time with us to explain so much about this fam trip. I had the great fortune of going on a fam trip to Greece in 2019, and it absolutely is an experience of a lifetime. So I would highly recommend it. The camaraderie is great, and just the all-inclusive nature and having experts with you nearly 24 hours a day is an amazing experience. So I hope everybody here is ready to travel. As Ian said, we will follow up with all the registrants on this call today with a copy of the recording of this session if you want to share it with anyone. We'll also have Ian's information as well as a copy of the registration form. So look for that in your inbox in the next 24 hours. Ian, anything you want to say to wrap us up here?
I would say that, you know, if you're looking for non-dues revenue and you're looking for a new way to bring forth a revenue stream out of a new pocket, and I can explain this in a next conversation. Travel's great, and Egypt is the #1 selling destination in chamber travel at the moment. You should seriously consider coming on this program, understanding what it is, because there's only one Egypt, and your members of the local community and your chamber members would love to go to Egypt. I know they will. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you, everyone. This concludes our webinar today. We'll look forward to seeing you on another Partner Solutions webinar soon. Have a great afternoon. Thank you again, Ian.
Take care. Bye, everybody.